So much for joining us in our kindergarten preview today. I'm Lisa Vanderveen, Director of Enrollment Management here at Willow. In normal times, we would have hosted this event in our fabulous kindergarten classrooms. And for those of you who haven't come for a tour, I'm happy to show you the magic of our our kindergarten in person. In the meantime, I'm excited to introduce you to our team, Linda Dalia, Yoko Yamawaki, and Julie Kim. Just a quick reminder that our application deadline is February 1st, and you can find our online application on our website. Our current preschool families, I know some of you are here, don't have to apply for kindergarten. You're all set. You'll just receive a re-enrollment contract in your email in the coming weeks. For prospective families on this call, you can email me. We're doing an application fee waiver, so you can email me at lvanderveen@willowschool.org. And if you guys would just put your questions in the chat directed to me, Lisa, I'll read them at the end of the presentation. If we run out of time, I promise one of us will get back with you privately with answers. And with that, I will let Linda and Yoko and Julie take it from here. Go ahead, ladies.
So hi, I'm Linda Dalia. I've been a kindergarten teacher for 23 years. This is my 24th year. It's amazing what kindergartners do, and I just love it. So I'm really excited to tell you all about the Willow Kindergarten Program.
Hi, my name is Julie Kim. I've been teaching for 20 years. 15 of those 20 years have been here at the Willow School. I've taught first grade for 2 years, and for the rest of the years, I've been the kindergarten teacher. And every year, it never gets old. Teaching kindergarten is always, it's really the best.
I'm Yoko Yamawaki. I've been teaching 18 years altogether. I think that was the count. And 13 of those years I've been teaching kindergarten through preschool, the Montessori schools. These age of my favorite age by far, and they're just amazing people, and really enjoy working with them.
So as you can see, we all think that the kindergartners are amazing. That's why we're teaching, because we just love them so much. They're just so enthusiastic all the time. It's just amazing to watch them explore the world. They have all that curiosity, that joy, and that love of learning. And it really comes together when they use their hands and they're involved in everything. And now everyone always says, oh yeah, let the children play, but play is a child's work. So, and if you say work to them, it's really play. So the two things go together for children, because they see work is fun for them. They don't say, oh, I have to go to work. They're like, yes, what can I work on now? I'm all ready to go. So they're just so amazing and so curious. And it's just exciting to teach them. And what's great is as you're teaching them, you're learning more too, because, there's always one more thing you can learn when you're teaching. So through their enthusiasm and their desire, you follow the child and you follow their curriculum, follows them, and you can learn new things yourself. And that's what makes it so fresh and amazing. And it's just so fun to teach them. So at Willow, we help them your children to figure out the world. And what's great is we have such wonderful outdoor classrooms as well as the indoor classrooms. So we figure out our world through exploration and then experiment, and then we build on that. So children have a different way of learning. They learn through schemas, so they have a base knowledge, and then they learn some new facts, and they have to figure out how that works in their mind. So that's the schema, and they're building how that assimilates and fits into their world, and then they can learn new facts. And it's just amazing to see when the light bulb goes and they're like, wow, and they take information from one area, say math, and they run it across through into nature, and they're finding things in nature, and they're using their numbers, and they're counting by tens to figure out how many branches are on the tree. It's just amazing to see them grow and blossom and use all the number work that you're teaching them to make these connections across platforms. It's really great to see. So what do children learn at the Willow School? Well, we not only teach academics, we're teaching for the whole child. So we're working on emotional strength, social skills, environmental awareness, and of course the academics, that comes just naturally. But here's the children we had read a story, and they made a scarecrow, and they had to work together to figure out how to build this scarecrow, and they had to find the stick, and all the stuff inside of the scarecrow was stuff they found in nature to build. And just the teamwork of building this scarecrow, and you see they're carrying the big stick together because they had to figure out how to do it. Figuring out how to put the scarecrow on the stick was amazing, and they figured it out. We worked on it together, and it was just great to see, you know, how that worked. So children start out with like critical thinking, and if you want to say they're building critical thinking here, they are, but first they start with the literal knowledge. So we have to teach them the basis. We teach them some facts and things, and then they take that learned knowledge and they apply it across the board, extending and synthesizing that information into things that they can do. And it's just so great to see. Now, okay, then we can turn to the next one. I was going to talk a little bit about social skills. So we are building emotional strength and resilience. As a kindergartner, you know, you're just starting to get out of your egocentric world. And now you have to figure out how to deal with all these other people who are your age, and they want to do the same thing you do. Sometimes they want to do different things. So in this scenario here, we had a friend who had built a snowball, and he was so excited about it, and he had left it outside. And then another class came out, and they didn't realize how important the snowball was to this child. And they came out and they were kicking it. Now, he just crumbled. He started to cry, like, oh, you know, he was just so upset that someone had kicked his snowball. But when we talked about it, so I had him come over, he was upset about it. So I had to, we talked about how we could talk to the other children. So we gave him the, put your hands on your hips. So he had the, you know, the emotional stance so that he could go and talk to them. And what happened was, it was great to see the dialogue, because he explained how upset he was, and they didn't realize. That's what they said. We didn't know that was so important to you. So that the three of them got together and they rebuilt the snowball. So it was bigger, and actually they put more snow, so they made it better. And they were so excited that they had solved this problem together, you know, with teacher support, but it was just so great to see. So we're teaching them that emotional strength and resilience, because we all, you know, have problems along the way. And so it's what you do when you have conflict. And so we're teaching them that they have a great sense of self. They're very important. And how could we handle this in a nice, kind manner? So being a kind kindergartner is something that we really stress. So we are responsible, we're problem solvers. So we are kind, caring kindergartners, and we solve problems together. And you can see here, there's friends who are all working in all different areas within the classroom, outside of the classroom. And look at how they're all carrying that stick together. They picked it up, and we build what's really cool at Willow, which is so special compared to anywhere else. The children are out in the woods during recess time, and then they're working on forts, and how do you build a fort, and how can we figure this out? So they've got some engineering going on within that, and they all have to work together. And if you know, and it's fine, you can go off and work by yourself, of course, at any point in time. But a lot of times they want, this is the year that they're social. The kindergarten year, they're just social. They want to be with their friends. They're so excited that they have their friends around. And it's all working out how to be the leader, the follower, and just a member of the group. So those are roles that we all have to practice. And within kindergarten, we get to practice all of those roles, which is so great to see. And we also, we read a lot of literature that goes along with that, so they could see problems being solved by other characters too. And we also do role playing, as well as just straight up experience, because sometimes they're not sure what to do, and they need to see it.
So in kindergarten, as Linda has said, we get a brand new classroom full of kindergartners, and they're full of energy, and they're fun, and they want to be with their friends. But this is the stage where they are kind of still in their egocentricity. You know, they have the view that, okay, I am at the center of the universe, and it's my perspective. So we try to build into the curriculum things that would help them to kind of become more aware of themselves in context of others. So in the beginning, we do look at what it means to be a kindergartner in the context of the classroom. So we do ask, from the very first day of the school, we ask the children to think about the question, who am I? Who am I? And throughout the year, the answer to that question will continually change. And in the beginning of the year, if we're looking at that question in the context of the classroom, we are looking at ourselves as, okay, I'm a kindergartner. What do I need to do to create this community so that it is a safe one where all of my hopes and dreams will come true? So we ask the kindergartners to think about rules that might govern the classroom. And most of the time we'll get 100 no, don't do this, don't hit, don't knock down the chair, we get a lot of no's. So we'll take all of these rules that the kindergartners come up with, and they have a lot of rules. And we'll tell them that, well, we can't possibly remember all of these rules. There's like 50 rules here. How can we categorize these rules? How can we pare it down so that we will remember to be, so that our community is a safe one and a happy one? And the children, we classify all of the rules that they come up with, and we can fit it under these categories. I take care of myself, I care about others, I care about the classroom, I care about safety, I care about teamwork, and I am a problem solver. And these are the categories that we will continually put conflicts that arises. We will look and see, well, if you snatch someone's pencil away, what is happening that's making our classroom one that may not be as caring. So while we are teaching them to see themselves in the context of others, we're also at the same time emphasizing how they are unique as individuals, and how that uniqueness contributes to the whole of the classroom. Okay, so that the kindergarten contract is just one way that we create our classroom community. The others, to help the children grow, they are also explicitly taught strategies and given tools with which to govern themselves, how they work, and how they play with others. And through the Virtues program, virtues such as respect and responsibility, courage, compassion, empathy, generosity, gratitude, they're all identified and they're modeled, but more importantly, they are lived in the classroom every single day. And along with the Virtues program, we also use the habits of mind, and some of the habits of mind traits such as craftsmanship and excellence, perseverance and diligence, flexible thinking, gathering information using all of one's senses, listening and not just hearing, really listening, and being a problem solver, and teamwork are all identified as wisdoms to guide children's mindsets. Pictured here, let's see. So in picture number one, the children, we are learning about loyalty. So the virtues are identified. That definition is given. We practice it, we think about it, we apply it. And one of the ways that we can do that is by having children in this play with it, play with the word, live the word. And here they're putting on a play about loyalty. And in the everyday living, in the kindergarten classroom, there arises many, many teaching moments where virtues can be applied. And in this photo, for example, in this photo, a little girl found a dead turtle out in the woods. And the children, of course, became very sad. You know, they really just, it's not something that they find every day. So it was an event where everybody was very sad. So we did we addressed that. It had, you know, it's not in our lesson plans, it's not, but we addressed it. And that day we read a book about turtles. The children sang a song. We wrote a poem, and then we gave a farewell burial and he was named Mossy James Willow, I believe it was. And he is buried right outside of the classroom, our classroom door. So we talk a lot about helping children to govern themselves and to grow, but we actually really give them the tools. We give them tools in which to kind of process their thinking. So to help children navigate their thinking, systems thinking models, such as webs, circular causal loops, as you see here in the pictures, are used throughout the curriculum. So we'll use these thinking web models in language arts. We may use it in social studies. It most certainly comes up in science. And as the children use it on a daily basis to kind of categorize their thinking, they get to know it really well, and they start to apply it in different areas of their problem solving. So here in the picture number 1, 2 children in the classroom were having a conflict. They were having an argument, and all of a sudden this little boy just ran up to the board and he started drawing the circular causal loop, where the arrows show that the loop of a never-ending cycle. And he just said to the children, look, if you keep arguing and you just keep saying it's your fault, it's your fault, it's your fault, the problem is never going to be solved. So the children, well, we are always emphasizing that you are problem solvers. So that's number 1. We use that term all the time, but we also give them tools in which where they can kind of, where the tools can help them think. And in the second, let's see here, in the second picture, this child he actually just drew that on the board, and then it wasn't something I asked him to do. It was something he was doing, and I thought it was very interesting. I let him continue doing it, and at the end, I went over to ask him, "Oh, what did you do here?" And he said, "Well, the very top is me. I am at the top, and I help 3 people, and they are Sarah, Hazel, and Katie. Then they help 3 people, and then they can help 3 people, and then they can help 3 people, and they can help 3 people," is what he said. And then I said to him, "Well, then what happens at the end?" And then he said, "Well, then everyone in the world will help everyone. Starting today, we can make the whole world better." So because I think Colin had this model, this web, and because we were talking about being helpful, he just had that tool, that strategy to help organize his thoughts, and he was able to come up with what he did.
So when we say the Willow School is a school in the woods, we are not kidding. We are really situated in the midst of woods, and it is the campus that you can explore nature all year long. So the children truly live and learn in this environment, in the woods, and they explore the environment freely every day. The Willow children are masters of picking up sticks and making something out of it, leaves, acorns, what might say. And then as well as we help them and explore and encourage them to go out and use the environment for their education. So it's the great environment. Here are some examples of kindergartners using the environment. The first picture, it's a kindergarten fort. Every grade has a different fort, and then this one is designated to kindergartners that is to say they made this entire fort, and then they were in charge of maintaining, and they are the only one who can use them. They get quite upset when other Greys touch their fort. The middle picture, that kindergartners are actually solving the problem of the flooding by building the bridge. And the last picture on discovering the moss and then using that to create structures, using that as a building material. I'm sure they brought that in and then made more inside. They are in nature, and they're using in nature's elements, and using that for their education every day.
So besides all of the emotional, social, and environmental, of course, we have amazing academics here. We feel like we're giving the children a joyful introduction to academics. We're welcoming them in, and they want to learn. We want them to be asking questions, to figure out how we can solve things together. So we always have a multi-sensory approach to all of our activities that we do. So usually we would start with language. We start by just reading great literature full of great characters, depth. We read, and then we ask them questions. So we figure out, we like to do text to self. How does that relate to you? And this is all helping with reading comprehension just by listening and being part of the group. We're all sharing our ideas. It's just amazing to see. And then you can see where friends will build upon other people's ideas, and they're working together to figure out a goal of what's going to happen in the story. We just actually, it's great. We started reading Little House in the Big Woods, and we read it out in the woods. So we went outside, and the children found a place where 2 trees had fallen down. It makes the perfect chair for them. And they're sitting there, and they are just enjoying it. And by looking behind and seeing the woods, they're actually seeing what it was like for this child. You can't see anything around from her house. So they're really getting, not only they're hearing the dialogue, they're talking, they're thinking, but they can really actually see it. They've been out in the woods. So they kind of are right in the middle of it, and they're asking some really pointed questions, which is great to see. And also within math, they're using a lot of hands-on activities. And like I said, they were looking at the branches saying, how can we count? We'll count by tens because there's too many of them. We can't count them by ones anymore. We're going to count by tens. And they're looking up and they're trying to count the branches by tens. It's just, they take these academic principles that we give them and what we're teaching them within the classroom too, and they take it out into nature, and they just take it one step farther. And that's something that is truly unique to Willow, that we have that opportunity to be outside and to explore like that within our academic world. So some of our basic curriculum that we deal with in kindergarten is not only just math and language, but we explore trees. We go all the way into trees, the life cycle of a tree, the parts of a tree, how they grow. What trees are here in New Jersey? They can identify the trees by their leaves. We have what we call a teacher tree. So the teacher trees help us with that. So we're learning all about trees, what kinds of trees, how to look for a tree, how to identify a tree, and what trees live around us. And then we go off to explore the world. So we're starting globally. So we're starting with the world. So we know we live on Earth, and we're learning the 7 continents. And then within the 7 continents, we learn about humankind's basic needs. What does every person need to live? And how is it different? And how is it the same in different areas of the world? And they really embrace that, because even within the classroom, everyone's family is different. And so it's kind of nice to see that everyone in the world, we all need love, we all need a house, we all need clothing and food. But how is it different? How is it the same? So then we're going into our family. So we're talking about family. We'll do a big family study on family. Who lives in your family? Who lives in your house? How many people are in your family? We do a lot of survey work. What holidays do you celebrate? So it's really great to see them, and they're all sharing and exploring, and I do that too, but I don't do this. Oh, maybe we should try that, and they're bringing new things back home too, to you, to your family. And it's really great to see. We also celebrate the 100th day of school. So that comes within math. We do a lot with that 100 base. So we're doing a lot of, we've counted by tens. How many more do we need to get to 100 so that we can celebrate the 100th day? It's very exciting. And then we're starting something new, which is an exploration of New Jersey's endangered animals. So we just started learning about birds of New Jersey, and then we're going to be learning about why would one be endangered and what can we do to help them out, and the differences with the beaks and the feet to see what makes a bird and why have they adapted to be in that kind of shape. And then we also deal with planes and lines and art to figure out how things are connected. How is a triangle? Why does a triangle have 3 sides? And they'll ask you that, and we have to, we're figuring it out. So it's really great to see. So those are just the basic curriculums within everything that we do. So we'll start with language arts. So we start out day one, we're reading to them. We're reading them very in-depth stories so that they can ask questions. A lot of them have virtue kind of backgrounds so that they can figure out why did that happen and what could we do to make it different to the character? What could they have done differently, or what did they do that was so great that, wow, that really worked for them? So we do that. So that's the reading comprehension part. And then we start with emergent literacy. We're working on, what is language? What is this in front of us? A piece of paper. What are these things on there? What does that mean to me? Then we work on word studies. We deal with phonemic awareness, phonics, sight words. We blend it all together for the best for your child. So we don't just do only phonetics. We build all kinds of different programs in together. Now, children start out encoding first, which means writing first, because it comes from within them to write it, and then they can read other people's thoughts, which would be the decoding and reading. Within that encoding, we do stress through Writer's Workshop, we stress sentences. We count how many words are in sentences. The sentence begins with a capital. It ends with our stop sign, which is a period. Exclamation point is just an amazing period because it has the stop sign plus another line that makes it so it's exciting. So we kind of go off like that. So within encoding, they're doing a lot of things, writing a lot of stories, things that come from them, and it's great to see.
We get asked a lot. Oftentimes when I ask kindergarten parents in the beginning of the year, what is your hope for your child? I would say 99% of the time, the answer I receive is, I hope my child will be reading by the end of the year. Reading, there are so many prerequisites to reading, and that is what emergent literacy is. So if I were to equate reading and writing to your child walking, the emergent stage would be the pre-walking stage, where your child pulled himself up on his arms, rolled over, sat up by himself, crawled, pulled himself up to stand, which resulted in walking. So there are many prerequisites your child goes through before reading as well. So some of these steps that are prerequisites to successful reading in the emergent stage has 3 components. These are the 3 components that we are looking at here in the classroom. Number 1, it's oral language, which includes building narratives and vocabulary, acquiring syntactic awareness. And number 2, we are looking for phonological awareness. So this is the child's, it's almost like the auditory training. Can children break up words into its smallest unit? And number 3, we are looking for print knowledge. So most parents, when asked about helping a child to read, they go directly to number 3, print knowledge and phonics. They and many preschools instruct young children by going directly to learning letters and its sounds. This practice, while it is good in that a child learns the letters and its corresponding sounds, this knowledge of phonics by itself does not equate to earlier decoding and encoding, or it does not equate to earlier reading and writing. I could have children come into the classroom with perfect knowledge of letter sound correspondence, but if they do not have the other 2 components, as well as later components, reading and writing often takes a little bit longer. So when all of these skills are in place, reading comes that much more quickly than having just the letters and the sounds by itself. So in the classroom, we try to foster this narrative, the oral fluency, vocabulary building, by giving ample time for children to play, really. We give them lots of materials in which to play. They create things, and every chance that we get, we are asking children to present what they learned, which helps them in so many different ways. It helps them to organize their thoughts. It helps them to understand what is the most important thing that they want to say about their topic. It helps them to stay on topic. And it also helps with sentence fluency. And of course, they're learning content, vocabulary as they're researching what it is that they are going to be talking about. So every chance that we get in the kindergarten classroom, the children will be presenting to an audience to help in this endeavor. And then of course, if we're aiming to have good readers and good writers, we want children to fall in love with books. So even before children are able to read, they are given many opportunities in which to fall in love with books. We make every opportunity to connect kindergartners to other readers in school. So we have buddy reading where we connect older grade children to kindergarten. So every year we have a buddy grade. Often it is the 4th grade. We've had 3rd graders as our buddies, and we will sometimes do different projects with them, but almost always we have them come and read together. And we also have a peer reading where children are, or sometimes we'll call it partner reading, where children are reading with their friends in the classroom. And of course, there's shared reading by the teachers. And we are always reading good literature to the children as well, and informational books too. So reading, as Linda said, reading comprehension strategies are explicitly taught in the classroom from day one. So while the children are not reading yet, they can be read to. So we take that opportunity to share many wonderful stories and informational books with the children. While reading, strategies to comprehending texts are taught, and some of text is text, text itself, making predictions, coming to conclusions. Those are all strategies that are explicitly taught. In photo number 1 here on the slide, to help with better understanding of a story, the children here in this picture are retelling the story by recreating the story that they have just read as a play. The kindergarten in picture number 2 shows an understanding of literary elements, which we discuss all the time while we're reading, such as character, events, conflict, and resolution. And she is thinking through all of these elements as she presents her understanding of the story. Children also gain better understanding of stories if given materials to create the story. So in the kindergarten classroom, we have lots of different materials because we never know what the children want to create. So we have blocks, we've got marbles, we have boxes, we've got a full classroom. And these are always available for children to manipulate to create something. In that 3rd picture, the kindergartner used the materials that were available to her to recreate the story, The Princess and the Pea. And all of these things help in reading comprehension, in comprehending stories that they're reading. Okay, so the other components of language arts, word studies is a big one. It is something that we do every single day in the classroom. And word studies are skill-based, hands-on activities that foster the knowledge of word building. So starting with phonological awareness, where children are made aware of the smallest unit of sound a word makes, the children progress through the phonics spectrum to learn to encode words and then later to decode words. And so there is a huge range. There is a big range from, again, auditory training all the way to sight words. And so here in picture number 1, the children here are working on understanding initial letter sound correspondence. In number 2, this child has created this long row of word building words. And here at this stage of writing or learning about words and learning about words, we're not looking for perfect spelling, but we are looking for fluency in letter sound recall, because that is the number one thing that is going to help them kick into conventional writing. And then here in number 3, a child is word building with the movable alphabet. And you can see just by the words that he has written that this child has retained his knowledge of the vowels. So he's distinguishing between consonant and vowels. He has internalized the idea of the silent E. You can see that little string arrow, which I thought was so cute. When I saw that, I had to take a picture. He has the yarn circling that silent E, and he has the arrow knocking on the vowel next door. And it's, you know, the lesson is the silent E knocks on the door of the vowel and says, please say your name and not your short sound. So you can see here that this child has retained that. You can also see R-controlled vowels, ER there, and we also see long vowels, EE. So he is further down in the spectrum of phonics. And as the children become very fluent at encoding, using all of these components of or the stages of phonics, we do kick into the sight readers. When they start to understand that, wait a second, I have a word here and I can't sound it out, they're on their way to learning all of the sight words. So that is when we introduce it to them. So we do a lot of writing in the kindergarten classroom. Writing actually comes before reading, so encoding before decoding. So writing is, here in the Willow School, the writing is taught using the writer's workshop format of instruction, as Linda has previously mentioned. So children are, in this format, children are given small mini lesson strategies, mini lessons showcasing a writing strategy, and then they are sent off to write using that strategy. So every child is at a different stage in their word knowledge. So using all of their knowledge of words, children write across all genres, and they have need-to-need discussions or need-to-need peer discussions of their stories, where they think through their stories, where they might be revising, they get opinions about their stories from their peers, and then they finally publish their story and they share their story with their classmates. That's always an exciting time. Okay, so decoding and reading. So we talked a lot about reading comprehension, and with reading comprehension, we're using really text-rich literature. With decoding, we have books where children have to learn to decode, so it's going to be much simpler vocabulary. So to teach decoding, we do use phonics readers as well as leveled readers. So whereas in writing, the children are building sounds and words to write a word, in decoding or reading, the children are taking apart the sounds and then they have to blend it back together. So encoding and decoding are two different processes in the brain. So the children will start out with phonics books, and as they become more fluent and they come to understand that some words just cannot be sounded out, that's when we give them sight word readers. And when they have a chance to practice reading every single day. And we do have an independent reading time slotted so that they do have sustained silent reading every single day. Their reading can take off.
So we approach math in a holistic way by constantly asking questions like what are numbers and where and how we use them, so that they will get to, the goal is for them to use numbers independently to satisfy their curiosity and meet their needs. Um, so the program we use to math at Willow School is Math in Focus. That's a American version of Singapore math. And also we use Montessori math materials and investigation math as well. Here in the picture, this boy is using the Montessori color bead stairs. We use lots of hands-on materials, and sometimes those hands-on materials are not necessarily math problem. We count things in nature. We count acorns. We count sticks, um, so that they can really feel the numbers and feel the quantity. That that way that they can build the true number sense. In the first picture, these children are using the Montessori materials to learn T numbers. In the middle picture, she is using base 10 blocks and 10 flames. And in the last picture, they are measuring the circumference of trees using, looks like Unifix blocks.
Linda, you're muted.
I'm sorry, they were vacuuming behind me, so I just didn't want the noise in there. I'm so sorry. So this is where we really excel. We have science all around us, which is amazing. And our social studies kind of goes with that. So we're preparing our students to be global citizens. And as such, we want to take care of the nature around us. What can we do to make everything more beautiful? When we come to a place, do we leave it better than we found it, or are we leaving it worse? So we're asking them these questions. Even we have lunch outside a lot, and even outside, you're like, did we leave this area better than we had it, or what should we do? What should we do to make this area a little nicer for next time we come out here? So they're always thinking. We nurture the appreciation of diversity and culture when we learned about the continents. So we learned about all different cultures. And then we kind of went and studied our culture. So we focused a little bit more on the United States. Within that, we developed the critical thinking. So we're giving them, it was great. So one day we took a walk out in nature and we found a snake. Now we were very careful, to say, wait, what kind of snake was it? So we had to look up what kind of snake it was. And then, so what kind of an animal is a snake? It's a reptile. So we went through, why is it living here? Is it happy here, or did it, kind of get lost? So we did a whole in-depth study because we found a snake outside when we were taking a walk. It was just amazing. So, it's that, innate learning. They want to learn. So we found something and let's learn about it. Let's see where we can take that. And then they took a survey, who likes what kind of snake better? So they're thinking and they're comparing and they're using all these skills. They made a graph of which snakes are poisonous and which aren't. How many more poisonous snakes could they find than non-poisonous snakes? So there's a whole genre. They did parts of a snake. You think, oh, it's just the body, but they wanted to know every part that was in that snake. So we took out the map. We looked inside. We looked inside. We made little drawings, and we were figuring that out. So it's just amazing to see how you can take that independence of your nature and your social world and just build on it. And it's just amazing. So we do a lot of imaginative inquiry. So that's what we're coming up on. We've been learning a little bit about birds and why they have certain adaptations. And then we're going to see what birds are endangered in New Jersey and what we can do to save them. And they're very excited about that. So here's one of our students. She's doing her global continents. So they made a map of the continents as well as a booklet that they wanted to take home so they could read through and figure out what shape each continent was. And then they built their own continent. And they even made, they sewed one together to take the two flat pieces, and they put it together to make a globe. So then we talked about our continent and our country. So we focused it a little bit on North America, what's in North America, what kind of landforms would be in North America, and then our country. We are from the United States of America. We talked about what that means. We made our own flag. We talked about, you know, what the stripes mean on our flag and why, you know, why are there only 13? And then how many stars there are, and they're for each state. And it was just amazing. And then we talked a little bit about the eagle, because that is our symbol of the United States. And we learned about where they live, what they look like. Are they really bald? No, you know, they have the white feathers. They're not really bald. And that just cracked them up. They're like, yeah, why is it bald? They were expecting there to be no feathers on his head. So it was great to see. We learned the parts of an eagle, where they live, and even the life cycle of the eagle as well. So now we're starting to focus on New Jersey. And then after New Jersey, we come back to that Willow School family. And so we would do things for the campus, and then we'll learn more about our families. So we're taking it from the global all the way down to themselves, so they can see where they fit in the big picture.
Science is a core subject taught by our naturalist Miss M in kindergarten, and the idea of interdependency is in the core of in every topic, the science topic, so that everything in nature like are codependent on each other, like everything like helps each other survive. And the Willow School campus is the classroom where children learn from the plants, animals, and landforms. We have a pond, stream, and wetlands. Really, the opportunity to learn about science is everywhere. Here is the lesson of example of tree lessons. Every child has his or her own teacher tree, and they are taught that they are guided to take care of the teacher tree. At the picture on the right, that this boy is giving his own teacher tree a gift from nature. So it is really a hands-on lesson, and then they really becomes like involved in that teacher too, because it's his or her own. So they learn everything about what sort of tree it is and what kind of leaves that are on the tree. So it's like really personal learning.
So many of the topics that's explored in kindergarten are pre-written into the kindergarten curriculum. But the program does, however, leave room to study topics that emerge from the children themselves. So often through play, a topic may become of an interest, and a full investigation can ensue. So sometimes the topic that's interesting to the children can be pursued, and that the length of time that it's pursued can last for a couple of days. And then there are times when the interest is so great and the project is so question driven that the projects can go on for several weeks. So one year, a little boy came into the classroom, and just as an example, a little boy came into the classroom every day and would draw a picture of a dinosaur. It was like his cup of tea. He would come in and he would draw a picture of a dinosaur. And this happened for weeks. So he was given books. I gave him sticky notes. And in this picture, you can see in the book that practically every page has sticky notes on it. And I asked him why the sticky notes were there. And he says, because he's marking all of the pages that are important. So you can see how many things that he has found inside the book that was important to him. I think he used up the whole pad just for one book. Gave him paint and whatever his heart desired. And he would come in, he would paint a picture of a dinosaur every single day. And so this caught his interest and the attention of his friends, and a full investigation of dinosaurs took place. So in this investigation, the children became paleontologists, where they learned about the characteristics of existing dinosaurs, and they discovered a new species. And the new species that each child discovered had to be grounded in all of the facts that they had learned about dinosaurs. So it couldn't just be like any kind of wild, crazy dinosaur. It had to be grounded in all of the facts that they were learning. So they created a museum and all of the different departments in the museum. They showcased their knowledge of how dinosaur body parts work, how the body parts protected them, what they ate, how the dinosaurs behaved, or how their behaviors helped them survive. So in picture number 1, these 2 little boys are drawing a trilobite, and a long discussion on how the word trilobite was spelled ensued, each insisting that they had the wrong vowel. So I have a video of it where they're arguing whether trilobite is trilobite with an I, or it's with an A. So they're using all of their knowledge to create their pieces. And number 2, when placing a dinosaur into an exhibit, any of the dinosaurs that went into the exhibit, the children had to measure to record its size and had to write about their characteristics before they can place it into the exhibit. The top picture, this is where this little girl was practicing to learn about, this is where this little girl was putting together her presentation. And because she herself had used all of the knowledge that was learned through the investigation of the dinosaurs, because she has gone through the process and because she has internalized every single steps, she was able to come up with a big piece for the presentation. And it was all in her voice. So there was nothing that she had to memorize. So the presentation came out really, really authentic. And that last picture is a picture of one of the dinosaurs that a paleontologist discovered. When all was said and done, they presented their investigation to their parents. It was a long investigation and there were much information to be imparted. But as I said before, because the children lived through the investigation, they owned each piece of information that was investigated and gathered. They were able to present in their own voice.
So the collaborative nature of the Willow School begins with the teachers and special teachers, and then we work together throughout the entire school. All the special teachers are experts in their fields. Our handcraft teachers and teachers are practicing artists and architects. And our world language teachers are native speakers. And then we might be say like studying about snakes, and then they would say like, well, let's see if we can make realistic snake as a model, so forth. It's like really everything is integrated. And here we were learning about Native Americans, and then the children made Native American inspired mask after listening to a story, and then studied elements of Native American art.
So here's just a sample of, I had talked about it already. We were learning about the birds and how their beaks work, and how just the bottom beak moves, not the top. And it was also happened to be pajama day. So we're still having fun and we're still doing our study. It kind of all combines together. So it's nice to see.
Service learning. Okay, so service learning is just what it says. It's service and learning at the same time. So children are providing some sort of service, and while going through that process, they're learning something. So for kindergarten, the children come to understand that their decisions, their individual decisions and their collective decisions have a direct impact on others as well as the earth. So they as individuals and collectively are the builders of good communities. And this is something that we emphasize throughout the year. We are community builders. And as virtuous beings, their care for and responsibility towards others extend to nature. So connections between community, earth, and the sustainable responsibility are explored through service learning and the introduction to the idea of managing garbage. And this is something that we do. So this one of the questions that we explore is, what does being away mean? Is garbage that is thrown away ever really gone? Children explore solutions such as reduce, recycle, and reduce, composting, and they also explore problems such as landfills and the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. With these ideas in mind, the children on Earth Day patrol the school grounds. They pick up litter, analyze where most garbage are found and what types of garbage are found. They weigh the garbage and make plans to educate the school population of their findings. So in that picture with the scale, well, let's see, here's a picture of a child collecting garbage. And we, on average, I would say that we pick up about 10 pounds of garbage each year. Actually, when we first started this, we found a lot more than 10 pounds, but the Willow community is getting really good at producing zero waste. So every year we are finding less and less garbage. And in the bottom picture here, the children, after analyzing, oh, wait a second, that picture has disappeared. There was a picture of children where they are analyzing the garbage. They are sorting it. They're looking to see what kind of garbage we're finding. Is it plastics? Is it wrappers? Is it food? What kind of garbage are we finding? And where are we finding these where is the most litter found? And this picture here, the children are figuring out a way to take all of the data that they had collected, and they are figuring out what is the best way to present their findings to the school-wide community. Celebrations. So kindergartners spend a lot of time learning about being a community member. So while there is a focus and an emphasis to the idea of sustainable responsibility in being a community member, the kindergartners come to understand that strong communities find joy in celebrating together. That is part of what a community does. We celebrate together. So at the Willow School, we find opportunities to spend as much time together as possible, whether it's for just pure fun or for sharing our learning. So the kindergartners, we have a lot of sharing of our learning throughout the year, but they do have two major ones, and one is a winter learning celebration. And learning celebrations at the Willow School showcases the learning in a particular unit of study. So for the winter learning celebration, every year the event is different depending on what is being studied. For this particular picture here was a winter story, which was a unit that integrated language arts, science, and Spanish. And the kindergartners also have a major spring learning celebration. Here, the photos show the kindergartners showcasing their social studies unit, I Am. And in this unit, the children had time to investigate how they are the same and how they are different from others. And they come to the conclusion that while they are unique and special, their special talents adds to building strong communities. Harvest Soup celebration is is a school-wide celebration, actually. So this is where the whole entire school community comes together to celebrate the bounty of our harvest. And the harvest consists of vegetables grown in our vegetable garden. The children have planted, children throughout the year plant and take care of the veggies. And on harvest day, the kindergartners get to harvest the vegetables. So in conjunction with the school's virtue of the month, which is gratitude, in November, every member of the community shares his or his talents, his talents to create a beautiful feast. Every member of the community begins small, all contribute to making the celebration a joyful one. And as I said before, the kindergartner's job is to harvest the vegetables. And because the theme for the kindergarten year is learning about interconnections and interdependency, we do a unit with the Harvest Soup where they survey the school-wide community to see what everybody's job is. And we look to see if there are any holes in that web of jobs. And we also incorporate science into that as well, and learn about all of the vegetables that we are picking.
We had the first ever lettuce festival this year. That's the day that we did everything lettuce, and including, but not limited to, harvesting, studying about, and eating lettuce.
Final thoughts. So through play, which is the child's work, the kindergartners are actively engaged in a variety of activities. You know, I can't express how exciting it is to see it in action. The focus and concentration and the teamwork occurs when they are so engrossed in their learning activities because it's something of interest to them. And they will just, that really anything can happen and they are still so focused on what they're doing. It doesn't matter. We've had kids stay inside because they had to finish what they were working on before they did anything else. So they have that freedom within the Willow School and the Willow schedule to do that. So if someone is super engaged or the whole class is super engaged, we continue with what we're working on. We don't have to say that's the end of this, we have to go on to something else, which is so important. And that really drives the child's learning. And it's just amazing to see. So it's a pleasure for me as a kindergarten teacher to be able to see that and enjoy that with your children. And like we said, play is the foundation of our kindergarten program because play is the child's work.
Thank you so much, ladies. That was super helpful and an awesome kind of joy-filled explanation of what we do here at Willow. I have not received any questions for the group. If anybody has any, please put them into the chat. I know we are at time, so I want to be respectful of that. So my email address is up here, lvanderveen@willowschool.org. Any questions or requests for fee waivers, please send them along. Any questions that pop up this evening or tomorrow, we can certainly get those answered for you. And thanks again for coming. Wait, hold on, one question. All right, so this is for you ladies. Would you characterize the school as either Reggio Emilia or Montessori or other, and how is it different?
I think it's a combination.
It is a true combination. It is true combination. I think Reggio emphasizes the community aspect of learning. Montessori actually focuses on the inner child and the child's quest to constantly reach his full potential. I think here at Willow, it is a really, really healthy combination of both.
Also, this is like a truly original way of learning too, not any one of those things, but like really combined together. I think Willow has made like a truly original way of learning.
Yeah, I think we pull from the best. We pull from Waldorf as well, where imagination is key in that philosophy. We pull from the constructivist theory philosophy. So I think I wouldn't say we're one or the other. I think we take the best of all of the worlds there.
And what's really fortunate is the kindergarten teachers are all certified Montessori teachers as well as kindergarten teachers. So we have the strong base behind us.
Yeah.
And we've all learned different methods of education too.
And I visited many some Waldorf schools, but many Reggio schools, because that's something I was also interested in.
yeah.
How do you guys assess? Are there any formal tests?
I don't know that we have formal testing, like please circle in, circle the circles, I know black in the circle. We don't have those kinds of formal tests. But because with reading, we know the spectrum of the phonics. I have to say Montessori is one of the philosophies that do that really, really well. And so at any given time at Willow, we are given less than 10 children, sometimes 12. We have an assistant. We are so fortunate to have, that's a gift. That's a gift to the teachers. We get to know the children so very well. We could tell you exactly to the letter, like what letter each child understands and doesn't understand. And so through working with them, through observations, and we take observational notes, that's another thing Montessorians do really well. We are trained in observation of children. So this is how we assess them. We look at them every single day in every way. And we also know all of the focal points that we have to address for a certain unit. Especially in math, we know exactly what the scope and sequence is, and so that we know what to look for. So we have the school scope and sequence that we are teaching with, but we're also using the Montessori, especially in the math, the Montessori sequence as well.
Great. Thanks so much, everyone. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.